Ever-present God, thank you for being with us in the chaos of our lives. We often forget that you are always with us, always seeking to bring us peace. Help us to create order in our lives, and in doing so, take care of all those concerns that rise up around us like the waves of a storm. Calm the seas of our busyness, still the waters of our doingness. Let us drift on the gentle swells of your love and your care. Amen. I am delighted to see you all back, and I've run into a couple of people throughout the week who've told me some stories, and so I'd like to give just an opportunity for some of you to share with us how motivated you got last week and what you did. And the first person I'm going to call on had so much enthusiasm, I just couldn't wait for her to share it with you. Debbie Schott, would you be willing to share with us how your week went?
I told Maryanne I was so sorry to miss the first class. It was the most cleansing day.
I can't wait to hear what Debbie has to tell us next week. She'll go back. One of the other little stories that was shared with me was shared quite a while back at one of our supper clubs. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about of how hanging on to things from a long time ago, and maybe our parents and our grandparents, and through the Depression, there was so much. So Glenda Caldwell has a little bit of a story that was very interesting, I thought. We're going to talk a little bit about our attics and how full they are with things. And then last week, we heard the story of sharing our sweaters. We don't wear sweaters. Why are they in our closet? Somebody can use them. Somebody needs them. In the sermon today, I was at the 8 o'clock service, but in the sermon today, you're going to hear this statement. And I've become so conscious of what a biblical base this giving and sharing has. This morning in church, in Hester's sermon, she says, give generously out of our abundance. Give generously out of our abundance. And it doesn't mean necessarily, as we know, out of our pocketbooks, but it's out of our homes, out of our storage facilities that we're going to get rid of, maybe. It's out of our attics. Things that we're not using that somebody else can use. We're helping so much. So listen closely in the sermon today, because there's several things. And yes. Margaret, that's great. Thank you, because I know that there's the Dress for Success program for women, where they will take your professional clothes, but I never, really knew what you could do with suits and things like that. That's great to know on the male side of things. Oh, good. How many pair? Margaret, I've known you an awfully long time. That surprises me. I thought I'd rubbed off on you better than that. Obviously, I hadn't. All right, well, let's just take 1 or 2 more minutes before we get started. Anybody else? Something that at least you thought about. Hey, maybe you didn't do anything, but what did you think about? Did anybody just think, maybe she's right. Maybe I ought to rethink this storage facility. Maybe I ought to think about cleaning out my clothes closet. Yes. Yes. Good. Junk drawer. Anything else that you thought about? Well, I think you're just being shy. I know more of you did. I think you all did a little more than that. But anyway, I'm glad to hear that I have at least inspired some of you to get started. And for those of you that weren't here last week, I'm going to just take 1 second and review for a moment. Basically, what we came up with after last week is that we just have too much stuff. That is just bringing us down. It's clutter in our homes, clutter in our lives, just within relationships, within our time, with our schedules are too cluttered. We just declared that there's our I, declared, and hoped you were supporting me, that there's just too much stuff, that we have to get rid of some of the stuff. It's affecting how we live. And there are two basic principles to getting organized, and that's to get rid of things you don't use, need, or enjoy, and then to group what you have left and put it at its point of use. That's all there is to it. It's not complicated. It is time-consuming. It can be stressful as we're cleaning out, but that's all there is to it. If you want to live an organized life, you've got to pare down. It's got to be simple. It's got to be easy to deal with. And you've got to know what you have, and you've got to know where it is. That's what being organized is about, knowing what you have, knowing where it is, wasting no time looking for anything. If you spend over 10 minutes looking for anything in your home, your office, or your car, you're wasting time, the precious stuff your life is made of. You know, if it takes you 10 minutes, you should be able to retrieve anything in your home within 10 minutes. So those are the basic principles of getting organized and what we talked about last week. Before we get started today into our actual process of purging, today we're going to process purging, and right here is my box, and I'm going to share it with you as we go along. But first of all, I want to go back again to the biblical basis for why we're doing this. Why am I up here teaching an organizing class? What does it have to do? You all must have handouts on your table, and there's the first verse that I cite is Mark 10:17. As he was setting out on a journey, a man ran up and knelt before him and asked him, "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus said to him, "Why do you call me good? No one is good but God alone. You know the commandments. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness. You shall not defraud. Honor your father and mother." He said to him, "Teacher, I have kept all these since my youth." Jesus looked at him, loved him, and said, "You lack one thing. Go sell what you own and give the money to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me." When he heard this, he was shocked and went away grieving, for he had many possessions. Someone said to me once, "Have you ever seen a U-Haul behind a hearse?" I said, "No, I hadn't." We can't take it with us. We can't take it with us. So we've got to figure out ways to go through this clutter, stuff, whatever, and get rid of some of it. Last Sunday, we were discussing the reasons, as we ended class, the reasons why we have so much clutter, and I'm just going to briefly mention those. First of all, a lot of times we keep the clutter because we feel like it's our identity. We're not identified in what we have. The fact that you have on a beautiful silk blouse, it's pretty, it complements how you look, but it's not who you are. Our possessions don't make us who we are, and oftentimes people seem to think that's the reason they keep things. It's their identity. It's who we are. The stuff becomes a part of them. Another thing, and we talked about this briefly just out in the foyer this morning, is that we have the reason we have some of this stuff is because it was given to us as a gift. And remember, I said that a gift is exchanging an expression. It's not what's inside of it. Sure, you may love it. It may be a beautiful ring. It may be a gorgeous scarf, and you may be very pleased with it. And then again, it may be a really, really not very good smelling soap that somebody's giving you, a box of pretty soap, but you don't like it, doesn't smell good, and who wants that kind of? But that doesn't make you like the person any more or any less. A gift is an exchange. It's saying thank you, happy birthday, I appreciate you. Whatever it is, it's giving the expression. It's not the object inside. Sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's not. And if it's not, you're not obligated to keep it. You write a thank you note. You thank them. You give them a big hug, and you're just so appreciative. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to keep it. It might be better suited for someone else. Another reason we hang on to things is because it might come in handy someday. And remember we read about that pretty lace slip with the cobweb, the pretty slip with the cobweb of lace that they were taking to the funeral home because She'd never worn it. She was saving it for someday. All we have is today. We don't have someday. What day of the week is someday? I know Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but I don't know what day of the week someday is. So it's time for us to let go of that expression. And let's get out and use our good things and enjoy them, because we don't know when someday will be here. And also there's the one about I paid a lot of money for it. You know, I paid a lot of money for that. I just can't get rid of it. We never used it, but we paid good money for it. Remember that clutter is not defined by a price tag. I don't care if you have the smallest little, I always think of a kitchen utensil that you shred carrots or any kind of vegetables. A little small thing, maybe it didn't cost but a couple of dollars. You love it. Every time you make it, you use it. And I don't care how old or dilapidated it is, if you use it, then it has a place in your home, and it doesn't matter what it cost. And then you may go out and have this beautiful lamp that you bought that you have moved around, doesn't add anything to your home. You've stuck it in the attic. Let's give it to somebody. Let's donate it to maybe one of the families that's getting their first home. Let's find something to do with it. It's not going to get any better in our attics. So the price tag doesn't matter. It's how the object affects your life as to whether or not it's clutter. And then the last one is one we didn't get to that I want to start with today, and it's about decision. The inability to make a decision about something is what causes a lot of this clutter. Well, I can't decide. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to keep. I don't know what to get rid of. I don't know what to do with what I keep. I don't know what to do with what I get rid of. So we're helping with knowing about, as Margaret said, places to take things for people. That's what we do with the things we're going to get rid of. We're going to talk today about putting things back in our homes, and next week how to organize all of the things that we keep. But we've got to talk today about making decisions about what to get rid of, what to keep, what to do with what we get rid of, and what to do with what we keep. Have any of you read the book of The Tipping Point? The Tipping Point, the book, it's by Malcolm Gladwell. Anybody read that book? Yeah. Do you remember the story in there about the two psychologists that put a car on the street in Palo Alto, California, and left it there for 3 or 4 days? Just parked a car. They were doing a research project, and they left the car on the street, and the car sat there. Fine. They went back 3 days later, took a baseball bat, knocked out the windows, slit the tires, and began to tear out some of the inside and left. By sundown that day, the car was totally stripped and destroyed. What's the point of the story? Gave them permission. Once that the car began to be damaged, then it gave permission to those in the neighborhood to come in and destroy it. That's how a lot of our neighborhoods become really go down and deteriorate, because one house becomes empty, the windows get broken, the weeds in the yard come up, they don't mow, and the next thing you know, 2 houses down, we have the same thing, and our neighborhoods begin to deteriorate. Now, what in the name of Pete does this have to do with organization? That's how the clutter starts. One pile. One pile gives you permission to have another pile. Another pile. Mm-hmm. For instance, you don't know what to do. I'll just put this over here for right now. Well, I'm just going to put this over here for right now. Well, I don't know if I'm going to keep this or not. I don't know if we're going to go to this or not. You put another stack. Next thing you know, piles everywhere. Why? Because you haven't made a decision. You have to make a decision about the things that come into your home. And then you've got to make decisions about what to take out of your home. So that's how piles begin. We give ourselves permission. Oh, it's just one, I just put another one. And this happens in your office. For those that office and got stacks of things, you wonder how those piles of paper got there? It's because that stack is stuff you can't decide what to do about. You know, whether do you file it? Do you need to send it on to somebody else? Do you get rid of it? So being able to make decisions is so important in getting organized, to decide what to do with it and what to get rid of it. So those are the reasons why we hang on to things. It might come in handy someday. I paid a lot of money for it. I can't decide what to do with it. Can you think of any other reasons why you hang on to things? Can anybody come up? We've got a good crowd, and there's got to be some. Yeah.
Maybe this is something my kids should have, even though I don't need it now.
Right. And let me tell you, someone, I know you've got young children, and somebody who has older children, let me tell you, they're not going to want it. And we save all of these things for our young people, our children. We think, well, when they grow up, they're going to want this, or when they get their first apartment. I know that's why a lot of you, as I said last week, have storage facilities, because you're thinking, well, we'll put all this in here, and then when Amy gets her first apartment, Amy doesn't want it. Amy wants to go to Pottery Barn. She does not want Grandmama's old Victorian dresser. It just doesn't work. But there are people out there that can't even afford to go to Pottery Barn that would think the Victorian dresser was gorgeous. Let's do it. I had a girl in my class one time who told me she had all of these beautiful smocked dresses for her daughter. And she said, I saved them, had them, tissued in a box. They were just wonderful. She said, but, I just can't, I don't know. She had, 10 or 15 of them. And she said, I don't know what to do with them. And so she said, but finally one day I went through them and I picked out 2 dresses for each one of my daughters. And then she said, I took the rest of them, and this has been several years ago, out to Millington to a family. And she said that she gave the other dresses to a couple who didn't have very much and had 3 daughters. And she said, if I had known that I was going to give them that much pleasure, I wish I'd have done this 10 years ago. The family was so thrilled. They had no smock dresses. They had nothing. She said it just meant so much to me to do that. So we can enrich other people's life. Remember, we're going to, from our generosity, we're going to, from our abundance, we're going to be generous to others who have less than we do. So that's exactly right. That's just one of those excuses that we come up with of why we get to keep things. We have to stop making excuses. We have to stop making excuses, or you're not going to get organized. I can promise you that. So where does all this clutter come from? Well, there's 3 or 4 places that I think are pretty evident. First of all, we buy. That's it. When something comes in, something old needs to go out, and something new comes in. Where did this clutter come from? Well, it didn't grow legs and walk into your house. You bought it and brought it in. I mean, you can't deny that. Somebody had to bring that clutter into your house, or it wouldn't be there. So we're buying all the time. And nowadays, again, I want to compare it back to the 2 days gone by. Nowadays, you shop Sam's, Walmart, Super Target, Costco. All of these places sell, and they sell lots. They sell in volume, and we go in and we buy in volume. They're great places. I am not in the business of putting anyone out of work, but I'm in the business of helping you bring calm and order to your home without all of this stuff in it. And we go and we buy. Now, if you're getting ready to have a graduation party for your niece or nephew, go to Sam's, buy. I'm not against it when you need it, but it's when we buy and we don't need it. And another thing, not only at the big stores, but even at some of our smaller stores, have you noticed how large the shopping carts are today? The shopping carts are huge, and for some reason we feel compelled that we need to fill them up. So let's say we go to Super Target to get a battery for our camera, a small battery this big. Well, just out of habit, you go in, you grab a cart, one of those nice big ones, and here you go. Oh, look, honey, they've got their lawn chairs on special. And our grandson plays out here. He's going to be playing T-ball or soccer. We need to get us a couple of extra chairs. I know we've got 2, but look, this is a special. Next thing you know, you got 2 lawn chairs. Then you go and you see that they've got their paper towels on sale. Next thing you know, you bought 36 paper towels. You get to the checkout counter. I see people smiling back there. This has happened to them before. You get to the checkout counter, and your basket's totally full, and you went in for 1 small battery. But yeah, you buy. That's how it gets there. We have way too much. I love Target. It has some of the cutest things in it. I've walked through there with my husband before and said, I love Target, because you know what? It kept me in business. When I was organizing, it kept me in business because that's what everybody had in their homes, all this cute stuff that they bought that they didn't know what to do with. So we're just tempted to buy for things we don't even know what we're going to do with it because we think it's cute. Another reason we have so much stuff, and this is all of these things are things that are much more relative to how we live now, shopping 24/7. All about 10:30 at night, you decide, I just really would like to get a cute pair of brown boots. I don't have any. I'll just go get online real quick and check out Zappo. Next thing you know, you've placed an order, you've got 4 or 5 pair of boots coming. That's great. But here's the deal. All these places, even our upscale stores do now, Neiman's and others, free shipping and free return. Now, they're not stupid. They know that if they can get it in your home, you're probably not going to send it back. See, that's all they want to do. That's why they give you free shipping. And then the next thing you know, the stuff that you don't use becomes clutter. You know, you don't ever send it back. You don't make a decision, should I or shouldn't I? We're going to talk about it again. But that's how this stuff gets in our home, because we buy it and then we don't even bother to take it back. So, and then the last way we get things is that we get them from well-meaning family and friends. You know, people give us stuff. Maybe they're cleaning out their homes and they're giving you stuff. Well, you need to learn to say, no, thank you. Here you go. Everybody in this room, you have the perfect excuse. Family tries to give you something. Thank you so much. You know what? We probably would not use that. And let me tell you what I've done. The last 3 weeks, I've spent Sunday morning in a class with this woman who's telling me how to get rid of stuff. And I'll be glad to give you an idea of some places you might be able to take this. But we're trying to pare down ourselves. I've spent 3 weeks listening to her, and I don't need any of your stuff. But thank you so much for thinking of me and thinking of us, but I don't need it. So we get things because we just buy too much. We've got the big stores shopping. We've got the big grocery carts. We've got the shopping online 24/7. I mean, I can remember as a child growing up in a small town in Arkansas, the stores closed on Wednesday afternoon. It was just, they weren't open on Saturday and Sunday. I mean, our families didn't have time to shop. So, they didn't have as much stuff. But now we shop 24/7. We could only shop 4.5 days a week or 3.5 days, whatever it was. We didn't have to, you can shop anytime. You can't sleep at night. Why don't just get up and go shopping a little while? So can anybody think of other ways maybe that the clutter comes in? What's another way that yes?
For me, it's sentimental value.
Okay, sentimental value. How did the stuff get there to start with?
Slide rule for my father after he died.
A lot of stuff.
Totally useless.
A slide rule? Is that what you said? Yeah. But you know what? If that's all that you have, I'm not opposed. Please, we're going to get to this. I'm not opposed to keeping things. One thing to remember, it's all of it. I mean, you want to have one pretty necklace or a scarf that was, or your dad's favorite tie. That's okay. If it's one, it's when you have 50 of them. That's what we've got to do. We can certainly keep. I am not such a hard-hearted Hannah that you can't keep anything. It's just when we keep it all. It's just when we keep it all. That's what takes up our space. So guess what? You get to keep the slide rule. See? Easy. I'm easy peasy. It's not hard. You get to keep it. All right. So anybody else of how they think clutter comes in? Yes.
With me, it's been the minute I give something away, throw it away, get rid of it. It's so hard to get rid of that pile or that box or that thing in the drawer.
Well, that's right. But the fact is, if you keep too much of it, here's the deal. You're not going to be able to find it when you do need it. See, that's what happens. That's why if we keep too much, that's right. If we keep too much, you can't find it when you need it. And they call you and they ask for it. And what do? Spend the biggest part of a morning looking for it. Not only did you waste over 10 minutes, it sounds like to me you wasted several. I know it's here somewhere. I know it is. I've heard that many times. I've worked with a lot of folks, and they'll go in their office at work, and they'll go, I know this looks terrible, but I know where it is. I know where it is. It just takes me, the biggest part of a morning to look for it. So we need to have systems, and if it's paper, we'll talk a little bit about that next week, how to keep up with it. Well, the electronic age was supposed to really help us with paper, and that has not happened, unfortunately. So those are just some of the ways, though, that clutter comes into our homes and some of the reasons why we hang on to it. So now I want to just define 8 different types of clutter so you'll understand exactly. It's categorized and it's defined pretty clearly, and I think you'll find some stacks or piles that you might have. The first type of clutter is just what I call garbage that goes straight to the trash can. It It is a expired coupon. It is an old ticket stub. Things that don't take any decision, a sale flyer and the sale's already over from Home Depot or from Dan West or anywhere you get that come in the mail or stuck in the newspaper and you pulled it out and saved it. An expired flyer. Those don't take any thought. They go straight to the trash. So the first type of clutter we come across is garbage, and we pretty quickly can get rid of it. The next type of clutter we come across is that jumbled up, mixed up drawer. Sort of that junk drawer. The drawer between the two chairs in the den or the family room, there's a table, it's got a drawer, and in there are some paper clips, a few rubber bands, an earring, can't find the mate to, the dog collar, an old paperback book you finished about 6 months ago, your child's report card from the end of school last year. You just, oh yeah, honey, you did really good in school, and you just threw it right in the drawer. That is clutter, jumbled up, mixed up items. Every cabinet, every closet, every drawer in our home should have an assignment. And when you ask someone to put something up, they know where it is because they know what goes in that place. That's not what goes in between the chairs, the drawer and the chairs. Not a sock. You folded the laundry in front of the TV. Oh, one sock missing. Okay, well, I'm go put the laundry up. So what do you do with the extra sock? Stick it in the drawer. That is a form of clutter. Jumbled up, mixed up, unlike items. The third type of clutter is an unfinished to-do list. It's those yellow Post-it notes. I always like to use the hot pink ones because then it looks like your computer has the measles or something. You know, people in offices love to put those little Post-it notes all around their office. So I just suggest go ahead and use the hot pink ones, and it looks like your office has got the measles. You got so many little pink stickies all around. This is the thing of whether you should, things that you intend to do. These are your unfinished to-do list. Items that you say, well, should I return this or should I keep it? I'm going to take this back to Target. Well, I don't. Unfinished to-do list. The fourth type of clutter is uncomfortable areas of our life. And that would be things like wills, maybe divorce papers, tax issues. Those types of things become clutter because why? They go into a pile. We don't make a decision about them. So the next thing you know, we have a whole stack of uncomfortable. Maybe it's a bill that needs to be resolved. Maybe you see something on your credit card bill that's not correct. And we just keep putting it aside and we don't deal with it. And the next thing you know, it becomes a form of clutter. Because when we walk into any room and there are all of these different things going on, it stresses us out. When we see all the papers, it reminds us of all the things we need to do. When you have order, you take care of things, it brings the calm, the peacefulness to our homes that we're all looking for. The next one is unfinished projects. That's one of my favorites. That's that needlepoint pillow you started about a year ago, and you get, 3/4 of the way through with it, and you've got a corner down here at the bottom you hadn't finished, but you've run out of yarn. So what did you do? You just box it all, put it in a sack, put it up in the attic. And you went all over town looking for a color run of that yarn so you could finish that needlepoint pillow. You could not find that same color run. So what do you do with the pillow and all the little bits of yarn and maybe your scissors? You stick it up in the attic. What good's that going to do? Well, I mean, why are you keeping it? You can't finish it. Let's either make a smaller size pillow or maybe just a pin cushion. Let's do something with it and get rid of it. We don't need to ship it up in the attic and leave it there. It's not going to get any better. It's not going to get finished. And it's just going to remind you of something you didn't ever finish. That doesn't help us a lot. That brings us down when we find things that we haven't finished. So that would be something. Things like that. Unfinished projects. Either finish the project or get it out. I remember years ago, Mark, I don't know if you were in on this one or not, but I was making silk flowers. And this was a long time ago. I made them. Well, when I got through, put all the stuff in the attic. I wasn't interested in that project anymore. I outgrew it. But there was a box full of that stuff. Why can't I donate it to a daycare or somewhere where the fabric and the glue and the paint could be used rather than letting it all dry up in the attic? And what did I do with it? Then I had to throw it away. Whereas once I outgrew that particular, or moved on from that particular place in my life, just get rid of that stuff. You're not doing that kind of a hobby anymore. You're not into it, so let somebody else have it. Okay, the sixth is items that are in the wrong place. If there's a toolbox in your bedroom, wrong place. A broken bicycle chain doesn't belong in the living room. If it's not in its place, it becomes clutter. That's why when you have a place for everything, you put it up, then you know what's out, what needs to be done, because you had a place for it. You put it up. And lastly, of course, is those indecisions, those piles. Well, no, this is next to last, excuse me. This is number 7, indecisions. You can't decide. Should I keep it? Should I send back? What do I do with it? I'll put it over here. I'll put it in a pile for now. That's another form of clutter, the indecisions. You can't decide. And lastly are the items from the past. Those are the kind of things that oftentimes become clutter. Again, it's great. It is great to save a few things. A cross-section of that person at that particular time in his or her life. If your dad was in a particular industry, to save something, to save one thing from it. And I guess I could use an example. It's the first time Don's ever attended one of my classes, believe it or not. All these years, he has never been. He's here today for the first time ever. And I said, he said, well, should I come or not? And I said, well, come on. He said, well, I hear it every day. Why do I have to come? So, another quick story that I have to tell. I pointed out Dale. When I taught this class years ago, after the class, we were upstairs, and Dale was passing, and probably most of you know that Don was with the FBI years ago. And so as we were coming out of the class, Dale's passing through the Cheney Parish Hall, and he sees Tommy Robertson, and he looks over at him, and they were shaking their head about some things that I had said in class, and he said, no wonder that man carries a gun every day. So I have quite a reputation. Thanks a lot. Tommy Robertson loves that story. No wonder he carries the gun. Anyway, so I'm sorry I got off on a little personal note here, but memorabilia and things like that. Well, and this then goes back to being pretty personal. But anyway, Don's father was chief of police here in Memphis years and years ago, and we have his hat. What's that called? Yeah, his bobby hat. So that's a memory we don't have, and we have his badge and of just a few things. But that's all we need to save the memories. Don knows stories. In fact, we were sharing some stories yesterday with some family members, some younger, some of my great nieces and nephews were in town, and just some things about our past. But and remember our 92-year-old friend last week that I told you the story about. It's not seeing these things. It's what's in your heart, in your mind when you save these things. So just save a small cross section. Remember what I said last week. If you can point at it or see it, it can be stolen, it can be broken, and it can be lost. But if you can't see it and you can't point at it, it can go with you anywhere, and it can go with you everywhere at any time. People can't take away our memories, and they can't steal it. So that's why it's important to just remember these things and save a small cross section. You don't have to save everything. All right, let's get going. It's time to clean out. We've got to get mentally prepared, so here we go. The first thing we're going to do as we start to purge is we're going to stop making excuses. Being organized is not an innate trait. You're not born organized. Now you can say, well, Maryanne, I don't believe that. I think you came into the world straightening diapers or something. I don't know. But anyway, no, you're not born organized. It's not an innate trait. Some of us come by it more easily than others, okay? And I'll take ownership of that. But we can learn to be organized. It is something that needs to be learned. You've got to know. We just all of a sudden get covered up with this stuff, and we don't know what to do with it. We don't know where to get started. And that's what I'm here for. You can learn to be organized. You have to practice it. Second of all, you've got to be willing to change. You know the definition of insanity, don't you? It's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. Well, if you're going to continue to do the same things that you're doing, you're going to get the same outcome. You've got to be willing to change. Change is not comfortable. We don't really want to, change. I like the way I'm doing things, but I want to be organized. Well, you got to make your mind up. You can keep it the way it is if you really like it and stay in this situation you're in, or you can make a change and do something about it. So it depends on you to make that decision. If as I'm standing up here talking about, and we go through this process in a minute, and you're going, that won't work, that won't work, that won't work, you know what? You're right, it won't work. If you're going to have that kind of an attitude, then it's not going to work. You're going to get the same results all the time. Got to be willing to change, do things differently. So first of all, we're going to stop making excuses. We're going to realize that change has got to take place. It's got to be different if we're going to get organized. We need to think before we act. We need to give here goes one of our first pointers, is to give every cabinet, every closet in our home an assignment. This is the closet for all of our winter coats. This is the drawer for all of our kitchen utensils that we cook with, put like things together. This is the drawer for all of our Tupperware and, Ziploc box, things that we put our leftovers in the kitchen I'm thinking of right now. In my home, I have a chest in the dining room, and it has 4 drawers. And in the second drawer are all the candles. It's my candle drawer. It's all the candles in my house. Every candle in my house, if it's not out, is in that drawer. Birthday candles, fragrant candles, candles you might put outside, candle sniffers, and matches. All things to do with candles are in one drawer. If I'm getting ready to bake a birthday cake, I don't need to look in the pantry. I don't need to look up in the cabinet. I don't need to look around the house for birthday candles. I go to that one drawer and I look. By knowing what you have and knowing where it is will save you so much money. If you go and you look in the kitchen, oh, we got to make a birthday cake. Oh, I'm not seeing candles. Okay. You go to the grocery store, you buy candles, you come home. The next thing you know, you put them on another shelf, and there's 3 boxes. Oh, dang, I didn't know I had all those. See, remember the extension cord story I told last week? 16 extension cords we had. I started to bring that basket just to show you how many we still have left of those extension cords. You don't have to go and buy. So give every cabinet, every closet an assignment. All my Pyrex dishes are in one cabinet. All my glasses are in one cabinet. And we'll talk about some locations that make sense. Remember, we group like things together and we put them near their point of use. Next, you need to kind of make an appointment or a plan. You should work for about 2 hours on an organizing project, 2 at least, or 4 hours. Carve out that much time a week. And I will challenge you today, and I'll bring it up again next week. During Lent, maybe this could be part of your Lenten discipline to do some of this and clean out, and then to give away. So it's got a real, being generous with our abundance. So 2 to 4 hours. If you work any more than 4 hours, this is stressful work. When I would go to people's homes, the first thing they say, well, I'd love for you to come and help me get organized. Sure, let's talk about, we set up time, get everything squared away. And the next thing I know, that individual would say, well, do I need to be here? Unfortunately, yeah, you're going to need to be here. I can't decide what has value for you and your family. You're going to have to be here. They wanted everything to leave and me to have back, and it just be gorgeous and not have everything, and I know what they want. I don't know. I don't know that little salad slicer was her mother's favorite. I would have given it away maybe. I don't know. So, yes, they have to be there. But you have to make a commitment. And I would recommend 2 to 4 hour time slot. On Tuesday mornings from 10 to 12 or from 8 to 12, whatever, 2 to 4 hours to work on a project, because you want to see success. If you don't have some type of success, you're not going to stay with it. So it's going to take about 2 hours. But if you work over 4 hours, you're going to be too stressed. You're going to be too tired. If you're going to clean out the garage or the storeroom, 2 to 4 hours. It's hard work it's hard work physically, it's hard work mentally, deciding. So you want to work 2 to 4 hours, long enough to have some success, see some change, but not too long. I was working with a lady one time, and I'd been there almost 4 hours, and as we were doing things, next thing I know, I noticed she was breathing kind of heavy. I thought, time for me to go. I said, okay, let's wrap up. She was exhausted. I could have stayed all day. It wasn't my stuff. I didn't care. But she was worn out. And I knew she was. It was time for me to go. Come back later, another day. But if you expect time to free up on your calendar, it's not going to happen. You're not just going to go, look at here. I got 2 hours today to do nothing but organize. Isn't that great? I just can't believe that time opened up on my calendar. That's not going to happen. You've got to make it an appointment with yourself, just like you do the dentist, the doctor, whatever you're doing, hair, nails, whatever. You know, and one of the stories that I told too that I think precipitated this deal about the gun was the fact that I asked some of the guys, I said, the storeroom, it's going to be great today, and I'm not saying today's the day, you may already have a plan, but the weather's beginning to get better. And as you say, well, I just can't clean out the garage. I got golf. I've got my golf game. Well, honey, you get home and your wife said, well, honey, are we going to do the garage today? We're not, it goes on every Saturday. We hear the same thing. You go play golf, get home, why don't you just give up golf one day, stay home, and get the garage clean, and then every other golf game on Saturday will be free of having to hear about the garage. Just get it over with. It may rain. See, I tell you, I was hoping Dale would come when I saw him. I said, you're coming to my class. I think I'm going to have to kick you out, Dale. You're getting too rowdy on me. Yeah, it might rain next week. Well, baby, that's okay. Then maybe you and your wife can go to a movie. But the thing of it is get it done. Get it off your list. Get it off your mind. If you go, sure, I hate like heck to have ask you to give up a golf game. But you do it once and the garage is clean. And guess what? The guys want to sit around and have a beer afterwards. You can sit rather than say, I got to get home. My wife's waiting on me to clean out the garage. So just do it. So set some time, make a plan and some schedule. Work about 2 hours. I'll also mention that if you're going to stay with this for a long time, you might want to look at your biological clock. Most of us can pretty much identify whether we're morning people or evening people. If you're a morning person, that's when you do your stressful work, at work or even at home. I learned years ago and in professional life is the stressful meetings and things, I'd put them in the morning. Get it over with. Because I'm a morning person. If you're not a morning person, don't get up and start cleaning out closets. You're going to be mad that you got up early to clean out a closet. You're not going to do a very good job. Book it for the afternoon if you do better in the afternoon or evening. If you're a morning person, do it in the morning. Do it at your high time, as they say, the high time. Divide and conquer. This is why I don't like Marie Kondo's book. She wants you to do everything at once. You didn't get in this mess overnight, and you're not going to get out of it overnight. So divide and conquer. Do a little at a time as you move. Our momentum is built, and we gain momentum as we satisfactorily complete our jobs. And then this is one of the key things. What you're looking for is a habit-based solution, not a gadget-based solution. Everybody is looking for that silver bullet, that quick fix. How can I get organized? What can I buy to get me organized? That's what you want. Whether it's buy a professional organizer's time, whether it's buy something at the store, whether it's, to get the latest new gadget. Oh, just as soon as I get my iPhone, what are we on now? I don't even know. 7. As soon as I get my iPhone 7, I'm going to be really organized. It's all I need is to get my That is just an excuse. We are looking for a quick fix. Getting organized is changing our behavior. And so we are looking for a habit-based solution, not a gadget-based solution. And habits are hard. It takes 21 days to change a habit. Regardless of whether you're male or female, you have to stay with something at least 21 days. You've got to give it 3 weeks. I remember, and I use this example because I think it's so true. Years ago when seat belts first came out, we didn't want to wear them. Some of the younger ones you all won't remember, but I can remember. And my dad he didn't want to wear a seatbelt. Oh, no, you go off the bridge, you'll be in the ditch in water, you don't wear a seatbelt. Oh, no. So, and then next thing I know, bought a car that the seatbelt went on automatically. Tick, 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 tick. Well, he couldn't get to the dealership fast enough to get that thing unconnected. Because I don't know about you, but I don't get in my car that the first thing I do is I put my seatbelt on. I wouldn't even think of cranking it. But years ago, we didn't do that. We didn't think that seatbelts, but now it's a way of life. That's what you do with organization. That's why I don't think it's stressful, That's why it's just, I've defined locations for everything in my house, and I put things up. I know where they are. I know what I have, and I know where they are. So getting organized is about changing our behavior. You've got to have a good attitude about it, and you've got to get comfortable with the word discard. You've got to get comfortable with discard. I do that rather than throw away, because when I say, well, you just need to throw that away, I can't throw that away. Well, we can give it away, we can sell it, we've got all kinds of choices that we'll talk about. So I don't quite, advocate that I'm going to say throw away, but I will say discard. So I want us to look at those that have a sheet, and I will read real quickly another biblical reference to getting rid of things. It's Exodus 16, 4 and 5, 17 through 20. Then the Lord said to Moses, I will rain down bread from heaven for you each day, and the people shall go out and gather enough for the day. In that way I will test them, whether they will follow my instruction or not. The Israelites did so, some gathering more, some little. But when they measured it with the omer, those who gathered much Those that gathered much had nothing over, and those who gathered little had no shortage. They gathered as much as each of them needed. And Moses said to them, let no one leave any of it over until morning. But they did not listen to Moses. Some left part of it over until morning, and it bred worms and became foul. That's what happens to that stuff in those storage facilities. They become run down. They're not useful. It gets to the point where it's of no use at all. We've saved it too long. So we want to just have enough. We want to have what we need, what we use. If you need it and you use it and you enjoy it, keep it. I don't care what it is. But it's all that other stuff that you just bringing you down. Those are the things we want to talk about getting rid of. So now let's get ready. Let's get started. Getting organized is not like a house cleaning course. It makes house cleaning easier. I told you could come to my house anytime, and you might do like this, and you might find a little dust. I didn't say I cleaned every day, but the counters will be cleaned and things will be put up, will be cleared off and put away. But being organized makes house cleaning a whole lot easier. It makes it a lot easier because the first hour or so of house cleaning oftentimes is just picking up, putting everything where it belongs. Then you're exhausted and you hadn't even gotten out the dust rag and the vacuum cleaner because you had spent an hour or two putting everything up before you could even get to cleaning. So it's not a house cleaning course. This is not what we're going to talk about. We're talking about organizing. Now, this is one of my favorites. As you get started, you can take before and after pictures. Take a picture when you get started, and then take after. And the next week when you go to the ball game, sitting by a couple of your girlfriends up in the bleachers, and you can say, oh, I have got something to show you. And so, she's going to think, yeah, she's got, her son's cute picture at the baseball game or something. You're going to you're going to put out your phone, you're going to put a picture of your pantry you just organized. Let me show you what I just organized. You're going to be showing a picture of your pantry. You're going to be so proud. You can take before and after pictures of your work. It will also inspire you. It will inspire those in your house. Let's see. Remember, things will get worse before they get better. As you drag everything out of a closet, it's going to be a mess. But it's going to get better. Just got to get started. There's no quick fix, as I said. You didn't get in this overnight, and you're not going to get out of it overnight. You're going to need the right tools, and that doesn't mean you get to go to Target and buy a bunch of storage boxes. It means you're going to have to try around the office or somewhere to find a box that looks something like this. I've got some things in here. A box like that. You're going to need 4 boxes like that. Take a black magic marker, and on one box write giveaway or sell. On another box write goes somewhere else. On the third box write inactive storage. On the 4th box write can't decide. 4 boxes. It can be can't decide. You can even write prove it, or you could write emotional withdrawal. But you've got 4 boxes, and I'm going to go through each one. We're going to clean out a closet now. We're getting ready to get our sleeves rolled up and start cleaning. And then the last thing you need is lots and lots of large black trash bags. Lots of them. You can use black so that other people in your family don't see what's in it and pilfer through it and try to take stuff out. So make sure that you have lots of large black trash bags. First of all, I'm going to clean out the entry hall closet. Before I do, let me tell you, there's two types. We have the inactive storage box. There are two types of storage in your home, active and inactive. Your active storage area are your cabinets in your closet and your easy-to-get-to shelves, where you put things that you use on a regular basis. Inactive storage are your attics, your basement, your storerooms, and your way up high, out-of-the-way shelves. Your Thanksgiving roaster does not belong on a shelf right here. It belongs on a shelf up here that maybe takes a step ladder to get, but you don't use it but once a year. This area right here is called your prime real estate. This is where you locate things you use on a regular basis. Things you don't use often go in inactive storage. So you have active and inactive storage. We're going to clean out the entry hall closet now. When you organize, everything has to come out, whether it's a drawer or a closet or whatever. You can't just push things around. It's got to come out. Everything comes out. The first thing that you pick up is a ski jacket. It is so tight on your husband, he can't wear it. He hadn't worn it in years, but you just hang on to it. You never know, you just might. It goes in the giveaway or sell box. Next thing you pull out is a paperback book. You read it, stuck it up in the entry hall closet. Remember, we defined the entry hall closet. It has a purpose. It's for things you use when you come in and out of the house. So the paperback book goes into the giveaway or sell box. It doesn't belong in the entry hall closet. Those are things that would go in a giveaway or sell box. The next thing you go, and guys, I'm really not picking on you, but it just seems that way. Next thing you know, in the entry hall closet, you pick up, and they're your husband's house slippers. Well, see, the other night the doorbell rang, and your neighbor came. Your husband's house slippers were in the den, so you just picked them up and threw them in the entry hall closet as you opened the door and invited the neighbors in. Now here they are in the entry hall closet. They have a place in your home. They belong there. They go in his closet. So as you get this box and you fill things up, when you finish working in the closet, you'll take that box and you'll go put things where they go. Now, where they go may be a wreck right now, but you tell yourself, I'm working on the entry hall closet. You stay focused. Finish that project. Our energy is fueled by satisfactorily completing a job. So you take that box and you put things where they go. You throw the slippers in your husband's closet, you slam the door and you run. You're not working on your husband's closet. Don't get distracted. Tell yourself, I'll get back to that later. I'm working on the entry hall closet. The next thing you pick up might be a can of paint. Paint doesn't belong in the entry hall closet. It goes in the storeroom. It goes in the attic. It has a place. It goes in inactive storage. It might be about that broken bicycle chain that you moved from the den or the living room into the closet. It goes outside. It doesn't belong in the entry hall closet. The plastic pumpkins your kids took trick-or-treating. You stuck it in there last October and you've not gotten it up to the attic, to the inactive storage area. So there are things that we have that have a place, but it's not the entry hall closet. And the last thing you come across is a waffle iron. Yep, waffle iron in the entry hall closet. How in the name of Pete did a waffle iron get there? Well, see, you were over at your mother's, and she had taken my class several years ago, and she was cleaning out, and she was getting rid of the waffle iron. And you said, Mom, what are you doing? And she said, I'm cleaning out and getting rid. You're going to get rid of that waffle iron? You know when we were kids, you always made waffles, especially when it snowed. Remember, you can't get, she said, honey, I'm past that. I don't want this waffle iron. Well, you thought, well, I'm not letting this happen. So you take that waffle iron, you put it in your car. You ride it around the car for 2 or 3 months. You forget that it's in there. Then all of a sudden, you've got to drive carpool or go pick up a couple of girlfriends to go to bridge or lunch or something. And so there's that waffle iron. You've got to clean out your car. So what do? You clean it out and you stuffed it in the entry hall closet. That's how it got there. Sure did. So now here you are. We are emotionally arguing with ourselves again. Now this is that prove it, box, the emotional withdrawal box. You can't decide what to do about that. You're still using toaster waffles. You hadn't made a homemade waffle since you brought it home, since you put it in the car. But yet there you go again. We can have a few of those can't decide boxes. They can be this size. I'm okay with that. Now, you cannot go get the size the refrigerator came in and fill it up. But a decent-sized box with a few things that you just can't right now let go of, and you can fill it up, pack it neatly, and date it. Put it on the highest shelf in the attic or the most spider-infested corner in the garage. And after 1 year, date it, might even put what's on it, and after you date it and put it up, if 1 year comes, next February 2018 comes, you haven't touched that box, you haven't looked at it, you need to pick it up and take it straight for donation. Don't go back through it. Don't have that emotional argument with yourself. You lived yet another year without anything in that box. It did not enrich your life in any way, so you can just let go of it. So that's the can't decide box. And I'm running out of time, so I got to go fast. And the last thing would be maybe you've come across a few old road maps, 1985 road map. That goes in the black trash bag. A broken umbrella. The manual to a car you no longer own. Those kinds of things go automatically into the trash bag. That's the process you use on every cabinet, every closet, every drawer in your home. Open it up, get your boxes, go through this process. I'm going to ask each one of you to at least do a drawer. Let's see what we get next week. What can we do? Tell me. I want you to come back and tell me. I'm going to do this just because I brought it and I've only got about 5 minutes. Last Sunday, I was so excited that I, was teaching again and hadn't done it for a while, that I went home and I went through our kitchen. Don was out of town, so I went through the kitchen. And I had to struggle. I had to go out in the storeroom and a couple other places. But let me just show you some of the things that I found. First of all, I went through the cookbooks, and here's Healthy in a Hurry cookbook. Well, I looked through this Healthy in a cookbook. Listen, look at this. In a hurry? I don't call this recipe in a hurry. Obviously, this individual has never heard of curbside casserole. I no longer need this. Here is a cup. Now, this is from my niece, and she was in college. I think she's about 40. Lindsay, I believe, is she about 40? Okay. Yeah, This is a Kappa cup. It's been at our, we don't need that. The next thing I picked up is these baby spoons that you feed children with. Our youngest grandson now is a little over 2, and he stands in his chair and eats. No one would ever be feeding him. And I want you to take these to Ann and Kim. I have someone who's getting ready to have their first grandbaby. So those are going there. See, I have places for everything. Then, let me see. This was what was interesting. And the storeroom, I have no idea these are blades that go, I have no idea what this is. I have no idea. Why would I keep it? I won't. It's gone. Then this was interesting. This was given to me some 40 years ago when I first started keeping it, a cheese plate. This was when people were still doing chip and dip. And this was given to me, and you probably could put a little cheese on it. Nowadays, cheese and fruit are so big. Everyone has beautiful trays and plates that they put the cheese, several different kinds, and crackers and fruit. What would this hold? Nothing. I don't want this. So that's gone. A little pimento jar, this recycle, gone. Some flowers. I'm not into red vases. I did get this week, and it was sweet. I loved it, but I don't need it. Another thing I found. I liked it. I did. This was given to me. Isn't this great? But I don't use this. This was a gift. It's pretty. And, one time there were some wildflowers, and I live in a 0 lot line. We don't grow wildflowers. We don't have room to grow hardly anything. So I don't need. It's a pretty little vase, but pitcher. I've got some clear vases. I don't need this. This is gone. A couple of pieces of paper that have phone numbers of friends of our sons. And they're stuck in a drawer. 2 pieces of paper that he's put this on. I took these and I wrote down the phone numbers and addresses, and I put them in our address book. We don't need them on scrap pieces of paper in a drawer. They're gone. We don't need these anymore. This is my everyday china, and I need some more. We don't drink coffee. It's good for soup, but I had 8 of them, and I thought, well, I'll keep 6, but I'm going to get rid of these 2 because I'm not serving soup to 8 people out of these, I can tell you that right now, nor am I serving coffee to them. a pair of sunglasses I threw in here probably Thursday of this past week. They've got little streaks in them, and boy, they're way too big. They look terrible on me. I don't know why I bought those. They're gone. And then Don's retiring, so he brought home these from the office, and we're not into ducks or animals, particularly of this nature anyway, so I don't need these. So there you go. It's going. It's going. So I hope that next week that I can hear from you. We're going to get started and do a lot more. We've really got a lot more to do, and I hope we can get it all done next week. So I'm going to turn you loose on those cabinets and closets and drawers, and I want to hear about it next week. Good luck. Thank you.